Amelia and Colin had built their life on steadiness, his steady work as a fisherman, her steady hands as a nurse, their two children Sophie, 10, and Jamie, 8, bringing laughter after long days. But Colin's gig fishing off the northern waters had become riskier with the weather shifting, storms arriving faster, and communication signals unreliable. Still, they trusted each other, trusted that Colin's boat was seaworthy, that he would return with his usual stoic smile and arms ready to embrace home. That night, the radio crackled. A warning came of a coming tempest. But Colin, as always, insisted he could make it back before the worst. He pressed on, despite the rising wind. Amelia waited, wrestling between pride and fear. By dawn, there was no boat, no message. The storm had swallowed the horizon and Colin with it. For days, Amelia clung to hope. Neighbors searched, Coast Guard scoured the waters, Sophie prayed and Jamie slammed doors in grief. Amelia walked the beach, gathering driftwood, trying to believe any floating piece of debris might be him. But each wave that receded without him felt like a betrayal. Her nights were restless, her days hollow. Sophie stopped smiling, Jamie refused to eat. The world around them felt fragile, as if everything they built could be undone by one unchecked wave. Then came the blow, a message from the Coast Guard. A wrecked hull had been found. The identification was tentative. They needed Amelia to confirm whether it was Colin's boat. Her knees buckled, her voice trembled. She went, heart pounding, to the dock where the boat lay half submerged, battered. The hull's paint matched Colin's. The name stenciled on the side. It was him. But he was not inside. Some might imagine that moment as closure, but instead it wounded Amelia tighter in grief. Knowing the boat was his meant knowing he might be gone for undercurrents she could not see or control. Sophie wept openly, Jamie stared at the water as though it held secrets. Amelia had to decide, sink into despair or try to rebuild. The weeks that followed tested Amelia in ways she never expected. The money Colin used to send home was gone, his gear lost, the boat unsalvageable. Amelia took extra shifts at the hospital, caring for strangers with wounds she could see, all the while nursing her own invisible ones. Sophie's teacher noticed she had stopped speaking in class, Jamie developed nightmares. Amelia held them as they cried in the dark, whispered that they were safe, that love never dies even when the body goes somewhere she can't follow. She found letters. At night, she wrote to Colin letters she knew he might never read. She let Sophie draw pictures, affixing them to the walls. Jamie carved small wooden boats, as if releasing Colin's spirit on each sea breeze. Each child in their own way clung to memory. Amelia did too. Slowly, hope kindled in unexpected places. A stranger, Captain Leela, who had once sailed with Colin, visited. She brought stories, how Colin during the last storm steered another fisherman's net to safety before his boat went under. His last act was to help. Hearing of Colin's bravery eased some of the guilt Amelia held for letting him go, for being angry, for crying when she should have been strong. It didn't erase the pain, but gave it purpose. With Captain Leela's encouragement, Amelia applied for support from a small sea rescue foundation. She learned about grants for families of lost mariners. She studied how to secure pensions for widows, how to get compensation when death is uncertain but probable. Each document she filed, each official she spoke to, felt like stepping over broken glass, but she kept going. At home, she began a ritual with her children. At each sunset, they lit a candle on the porch, saying one thing Colin taught them, one thing they would carry forward. Sophie said kindness. Jamie said courage. Amelia said love. Over time, those candles became less about mourning and more about memory aflame against despair. One evening, months later, a letter arrived from a distant port. A sailor reported seeing a man matching Colin's description, weak, injured, stranded on a reef after drifting far offshore. It was tentative, perhaps a mistake. They needed proof before launching a costly rescue. The news split Amelia's heart, hope surged, then receded. But for the first time since that storm, she imagined Colin alive. The rescue mission launched. Captain Leela led a small crew. Sophie and Jamie knelt by the shore, clutching the letters they had written, the wooden boat Jamie had carved. Amelia stood beside them as the search vessel vanished into the horizon. Days passed. Anxiety spiraled. Would the man be him? Was this yet another phantom? And then the message, found. Alive. Colin was alive. Thin, dehydrated, his memories hazy, but alive. They reunited at the dock. Sophie cried, Jamie climbed into Colin's arms, Amelia clung to him as though she might disappear otherwise. He apologized, for the fear, for the suffering. She forgave him with relief, with love. Colin learned that months had passed. He had drifted after the storm, survived on sheer will, washed ashore on a distant island, rescued by fishermen who thought him another lost soul. He had believed in his own end, the thought of home pulled him through. Rebuilding was not easy. Colin's health was fragile, his mind haunted. They went to therapy, physical and mental. Amelia worked shifts, taught Sophie to believe again, helped Jamie face his nightmares with stories of Colin's return. They fixed the house. They built a small memorial in the garden where the sea's salt spray could reach. They planted flowers for hope, wheat for perseverance, ivy for life that grows even when rooted in sorrow. Colin returned to fishing eventually, not the dangerous trips, but coastal work with a partner, safer boats. He taught the children what he had learned, respect for the sea, but humility toward its power. Amelia continued her work in the hospital, but they also volunteered together at the Sea Rescue Foundation, helping other families who had lost someone to the storm. Years later, after anniversaries of loss and gratitude, Amelia stood on the porch with Sophie, now a young woman, and Jamie, a teenager. The wind carried the salt and distant gulls cried. Colin sat nearby. They lit candles not just for the past, but for what they had built, a life with sorrow, yes, but full of love, courage, purpose. The storm would always be a part of them, but no longer a destroyer. Amelia looked at her family. We won't forget, she whispered. But we will carry on. And in that moment, the sea felt kinder. The waves spoke, not of endless loss, but of renewal. Hope had not only returned, it had renewed their very souls.